Thank you for joining me, Natasha.
No, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, first question I have is, what is it like to act and sing, the, the having both careers?
Um, I've always loved both elements. I had started in singing first, and musical theatre before I turned to TV and film. But I love actually being able to switch between the two and having the opportunity to enjoy both because I don't actually think I have a preference between the two. I love them both, and so being able to do anything where I get to sing and act together, that's always my favorite. But I do again enjoy both elements separately.
That's cool. So, what was it like for you to be on set for Final Destination?
That was a really fun experience. There was a lot of energy on set, and it was a really great energy. The directors, Adam and Zach, they always came. I mean, we were there the first day, and I always love telling this story. I don't know why. They came dressed in their suits and fully ready to give 100 million% to the project. And I
That's
definitely
awesome.
think it set the tone for the whole movie. I really do, because once they came onto set like that, everybody was hyped up, everybody was ready, and especially starting with that 60s scene that we did. We actually started shooting the 60s segment first as well.
Okay.
So it really set a tone. And I for sure think you can see it in the final movie.
hmm
I loved being part of the 60s
hmm
element.
That was awesome. Being part of that, that had to be awesome. Being part of that theme, that style of the movie. Um, when we went and seen it, it was very interesting how they did it. The whole '60s vibe.
Yes.
The whole even going through the dress up styles of it. Everybody was still dressed up like it was '60s. It wasn't like the modern day dress up and just, hey, we're gonna look like the '60s. No, it looked exactly like the '60s would be back then.
It did.
And the way in your singing was outstanding in the
Thank
beginning.
you.
I was like, it just blew me away that you to find out that you are both, you are an actor and singer, was just mind blowing. I was like, oh wow, she's both. She is an actor and singer. She can't like. I'm like, can the one question is, do you ever feel like you can choose one, a singer or actor?
Whenever I'm only singing, I always miss acting. And whenever I'm just acting for too long, I always miss singing. But it actually works out kind of well for me sometimes, because if I'm acting a lot, sometimes a producer might contact me because I also do house music and
Okay.
UK garage. So when sometimes I'll be doing a project and then a producer will contact me and say, "Oh, we have this song that we'd love your vocals on," and then it allows me at the same time to do both. So I always manage to do both somehow when I'm doing one. So far I have never had to make a final decision. I hope I never have to, because I want to do them both forever.
All right, so that answers the other question I had. Is if you had a choice to pick acting or singing for a full time career, which one would you pick? So that kind of answers that. You hope that you can do both. So
Yes.
so what? Excuse me. What was your take on the uh Final Destination franchise?
I was fairly young when it first came out, although I remember I did watch the first two, I think, at some point, and I did always like the franchise. I was really surprised when the audition came through that they were actually going to do another one,
hmm
and like any sequel, um, you can always be worried that their new take on it won't be received well, but or their new take on it would be so different or exactly the same as what's just come out that it's not as interesting as you had hoped. But this one I love that they took the family element and they took all the gory deaths as well. And then
Hmm.
they brought back the 60s. They gave Tony Todd a story. I think they really struck gold with that one.
Yeah. What was your feeling on the whole you got to work with a younger child that was supposed to be like Tony when he was
Yeah.
growing up? What was that like for you?
That was really nice. When I first got the audition through and I realized I was the singer in the restaurant, I knew I had a child. I didn't know who he was meant to be or who I was meant to be
Oh, okay.
in the reference to Tony Todd. It was only when I got the script after I had booked it that I realized who my character was and now who this little boy was. And another interesting story when I ended up meeting Tony Todd because he was so excited that he finally had a backstory for his
That's
final
awesome.
movie. Um, he had taken a picture holding my picture, and he asked makeup to take the picture, and they sent it to me with him holding the picture, and they said, he wants to say hi to his mummy. And I just thought I have to go in because there were no days where there was a crossover on our schedules.
Hmm.
So on my days off, I went in when I knew he was going to be there so I can meet him. And he's just so happy to
Yeah.
have a backstory. And it was a little bit surreal because I knew who he was in the franchise and I knew how big his character was in the franchise, and it was really special that he felt so excited about it.
Hmm.
Um, and then we had a really nice chat, and I think he was actually going to the BAFTAs after he had finished on that movie, so we were able to talk about London a little bit.
Hey, there
Um,
you go.
But no, he was really wonderful, really nice. He was very supportive of my career, and he was asking a lot of questions about what I wanted to do and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
it was really wonderful talking to him. And I'm really glad I got to go in and see him and spend a little bit of time with him.
Yeah, when you get to meet a legend like that, and knowing that that was like one of his, I don't want to say it's his last movie. I'm not sure if it was his last one or if he has another one coming out this year or another one coming out later. But knowing that this was one of his last ones,
Yeah.
um, that he was the to get to meet a legend like that, that has to make you feel like over the moon, exciting that you got to
Yeah.
meet him and talk to him and you know.
Yes, absolutely. It still sometimes has its moments where I think about it because when you're on set doing your work, you're doing it with purpose,
Hmm.
and that's what your focus ends up being. And then to also have to take into account where it fits into a franchise with an iconic character. And then, of course, you never know how the audience are going to respond to his backstory as well, because sometimes these things you think they're going to matter to the audience and it doesn't matter as much. But of course, in this case, there is a really amazing response to my character and the fact that he got a backstory. And
Hmm.
I'm I'm sad that he didn't get to see the reaction that people had to him having a backstory, because I think everyone was just as excited as he was that he got to have a backstory.
It was well, it was about time that he finally got something out of this, because all these years that he's been in the movie, and you've seen him in every movie that he was in, you were always wondering, okay, who is he? What is, we knew his name, we just never knew what he was actually for. We never knew
Yeah,
what he was. We knew his name in the movies. We knew what he was for in some of the movie, just not like his full story. And then this
yeah,
one,
because
you get
everybody
that.
wanted to know if he was, is he the angel of death? Is he the
Yeah.
personification of death? Why
Mm-hmm.
is he always there when something happens, So to realize that it was, nothing like that at all, it was seeing his mother's death that
Mm-hmm.
probably triggered something.
Yeah.
Um, I think it was nice because the thing is too, you don't know if the fans would have thought, well, can he have sort of a supernatural explanation to
Mm-hmm.
his existence, right? And there wasn't one. But I love that, everybody liked that it was just almost like a normal story
Mm-hmm.
for him in the beginning. And there was a reason which we still I feel like they could totally still delve into the ultimate reason how he became the way he was. There's a
Oh
whole
yeah.
gap of time there, right? And his
Mm-hmm.
relationship with his mother,
Mm-hmm.
and although it was in the premonition, how long after she was saved did she die, and how was it for him, and how did that affect him?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they had this amazing relationship, and so when she did eventually die, it was, it really messed him up, and he became obsessed with death or something. There's so
Yeah.
many stories to be told. It's kind of exciting.
Yeah. Like you could continue that role and play that on with the child, until the time
That
happens.
yeah, when they decide that she did actually die in real life. I mean, yeah, I would love to
Yeah.
do more with the character.
Yeah. That would be awesome. That would kind of more give the backstory to it, and then it would give us that little bit of, like, as a fan of the movies, that would give us a little bit of more closure on this chapter of those five or those six movies, that
Yeah,
I don't think we need any more of them, now that
right.
this group of people that Tony has passed on. I don't with that has happened. I think this set is concluded with him. If you
Yeah,
wanted to do another set, then you have to come up with a different concept of it.
right.
The Final Destination concept of it is fantastic. I wouldn't change that portion of it,
Yeah,
but Tony kind of made that movie so well around him. Even when he not being a main character, he was
exactly.
so built into the movie that everybody was so fascinated of, what is he? He's a
Yeah,
key character, and nobody knew exactly what he
exactly.
was the entire movie.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think that was what the fans really needed to close this set out. If you wanted to
yeah,
do another set, you could, but I think right now the fans are happy enough with this set closed. For now, I would say leave it. But if you wanted to do another set, we could. As a fan, I would love it. But I think with Tony's story and everything with it, the way it closed with him being able to go completely off script, no script for him to go out and just tell the fans how he really felt.
yes,
That was just amazing. For the directors to allow him to do that,
yeah,
the love for him, the support for him, um, to know that he had that from the fans, the actors that were on set with him. That just
yes,
makes things so, proud from even fans' perspectives
Yes.
that it was so it was so giving.
Yeah, it was.
And for that, I think that for fans' perspective, I think that would just would be the explanation point on this entire thing. That let's just end it, and we could do something different, like a spinoff, like you said, with a child of Tony, is making it like how did him and his mom have a relationship after that? Like what happened between him and his mom up to
Yeah.
the point of
Exactly, because something had to happen there, and somewhere along the lines, Iris had to be part of the equation.
hmm
So, it's there is a whole gap in time that could be explained.
yeah, there's a whole gap that could be explained, yes. And I think that it should be as a fan, yeah, that gap should be explained. But
Yeah,
we may never know. That may be a gap that never gets explained.
I know.
I would love for it, but we don't know. So for your audition, did you get to do it in person or did you have to do it virtual?
I sent in a self tape for my
Oh,
audition. I had
okay.
to sing a piece of the Connie Francis song, Falling,
hmm
and then do my scene that I did with Breck.
Okay.
They were the two pieces I had to send for my audition. Um, and Yeah, it was definitely a fun audition. Actually, it was the quickest turnaround I think I've ever done with an audition. I don't know why. I didn't know the
Oh.
song, but I'd just come home from somewhere and I had my makeup on, and I got the audition. And I thought, oh, might as well do it right now. And I just, well, I suppose because I'm a singer too, learning lyrics on the spot I can do. So I just needed, I think, about 30 seconds of it. So I just learnt the first verse of the song and pretty much did it straight away. And I think I sent it back to my agent within the hour. Um, it was a pretty
Wow.
quick one and it was fun. It was so fun. So
Yeah, that is quick for a turnaround for an audition. But before the I know COVID kind of really changed a lot of the audition stuff. But before that, did you go in person and do a lot of your auditions?
yes, I did. Most of my auditions were in person. Um, a lot of people have different opinions on doing self tapes or not.
hmm
And I don't mind either way. They both have their benefits. I think self tapes ended up working well for me because if I do auditions for the UK or I'm doing an audition for Canada and I'm in the other country,
hmm
they became more receptive to seeing a tape. Whereas before that, if you weren't there to be in the room, then you weren't able to do the audition. So for me, who is a traveler, it does help that I'm able to use self tapes and they still hold the same weight as being in person. But I definitely love being able to go into the room, seeing the casting directors and actually meeting with the directors and stuff because it's nice to hear from them directly in person if they want any alterations made or adjustments or whatever. And so yeah, I do love both options.
Yeah. So how long did it take you guys to be in the first scene of the '60s theme? Like how long did it take you guys to all get set for that? Like the makeup and all. How long did it take you all to be ready to be shot?
Um, I feel like it took somewhere between an hour and a half to 2 hours because they had already, so we had, for myself anyway, they had a hair and makeup test that they had to do to make sure that they had the right style of makeup that they wanted and that Warner Brothers and New Line were happy with that and the directors were happy with it and everything. So we were trying a few different things and then the style of the wig. Um, And then they also the costume as well, the dress. Again, it was making sure it was tailored correctly and the right length for me and everything like that. So I think in total, I mean, once we had done the hair and makeup test and we knew exactly what was happening, probably about an hour and a half, because the wig was preset in the end, and so I kind of just had to go in and they could pin that on, and we got quite comfortable with the makeup style.
Wow, that is quick for a lot of movies because like I've seen where they do it like they piece them together and they show like a lot of people getting dressed up in their
Oh yeah.
full makeup or in costume and everything, and it takes like 9 hours, 10 hours, 24, 18 hours and stuff like that. I don't know how anybody could sit and allow them to do the whole makeup
Oh
thing.
yes, definitely. If the character has certain prosthetics or things like that, for sure, you have to sit down and let it all get stuck on. I had to actually have that done once for I did a couple episodes of iZombie, and they had to stick a prosthetic on when I was in the morgue, and they had cut my chest open, and it was a
Hmm.
whole prosthetic. And the time it takes to attach those things, yeah, it definitely takes a good bit of time.
So what was that like being on set for iZombie?
That was good. That was the first time first time I had done a small amount of stunts. So the fight scene that I had in that, I did myself, and it's funny because they had tried to tell me, your adrenaline is going to be going and it's going to feel like you have all this energy, but you do have to do it over and over again. And I did it the first couple of times. I was like, oh, feel fine. Not a problem. Don't know what you're talking about. Oh my goodness. I was not prepared. Um, and then, I still wanted to do it. I still wanted to do it. But just preparing yourself and your body for any type of fight scene, even if it's a minor fight scene, you actually don't realize the preparation that is required. Because anything that even looks like, oh well, that looks fairly simple,
Hmm.
there's often a lot involved in it. And then it's the repetition. It's the repetition that gets you. Um, and so by the next day, I had to take, the extra strength Advil, and yeah, back on
Sore,
set.
I bet.
Very, very sore. And it just so happened the next day was the day they were shooting my scene after I had been murdered, and I was lying down in the morgue. And one of the things they try and tell you not to do when you're that sore and you've used up that much energy is to just do nothing. But
Oh,
hey,
you're so
oh,
stiff
I had to
afterwards.
spend the
Yeah.
day lying down, and oh my goodness,
It
I was so sore and stiff.
Yeah, after they said cut and you're laying there, you're like, I can't move now. I can't move. I'm so stiff. Please help me up. That's got to be the toughest part for a lot of people is like when you do all the action scenes and then the next day it's like, all right, now I don't have to do anything. Well, gotta move around at least.
Yeah, yeah,
But
you still have to, and that, yeah, I definitely learned from that. To to know, because that was fairly early in my career and
mhm,
on television, so it felt like I wanted to actively be part of it. And as I said, I thought it didn't look that strenuous.
mhm,
Um, but I've definitely learned from that now. So I know now sort of to have boundaries, because that's definitely what you learn as an actor. Because when you're trying to do a shoot and maybe you're needed for 10 days, 15 days, 20 days, you
mhm.
can't be putting your body through that and then just carrying on with these
Yeah.
12, 15-hour days. So yeah, you definitely learn how to make it work.
Yeah, that's got to be rough. I mean, I like I work physically outside most of my days, and it's like when I come home, I'm sore and exhausted, and it's like, all right, I'm just gonna go lay down, and it's like that is the worst part that I can do is lay down. It's because then I'm like so stiff trying to get back up to do anything. So, so with you being a singer, is there one person out there that you would like to sing with, or dream that you would magically want to sing with one day?
So, fairly, I don't know why this has happened in the last maybe year or so. Um, Craig David,
Okay.
which is he's a huge UK garage artist. All of a sudden, I'm like, I would absolutely love to sing with him.
Okay.
I don't know where that's come from, but absolutely I would love to sing with him. But then again, when I first started in musical theatre, I I played Diana Ross. I would
Well,
love to sing with her. However, I don't I I don't feel like I could sing up against an icon like Diana Ross. But I
I
would love to, nonetheless.
I think you could because your voice is amazing. So
Thank you.
yeah, your voice was amazing in the movie, and it was just knowing I like I said I didn't know you were a singer before I seen the movie, and when I heard you sing, I was like, wow, I was blown away, and then finding out that you were an actual singer, I was just shocked. I was like, wow, okay, she is a singer. She's not just acting the role of a singer; she is an actual singer. Because a lot of actors do they do sing a little bit here and
Yeah.
there, and they're just acting more so than they do singing. Um,
Yes.
and they do some musical numbers here and there in some of their musicals that they do, but they're not totally a singer. So when to find out that you were a singer and an actor, it just blew me away. I was like, so she can do both. So when I heard you sing, I was like, yep, she can definitely she could sing with the best. I can tell.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would hope maybe.
And your acting it was fantastic in the movie as well. So that's why I was like I was
Thank you.
blown away. So um now the famous question we always ask everybody at the towards our end of our interviews are um we always ask this question. Since you are both, that's why I asked the first question. Now this one is going to be if there's a movie out there that you would like to act in, which one would if it's a remake or a new movie or a movie that you would like for somebody to come up with, what would it be?
Oh gosh.
A
That is a good question. Oh my goodness.
lot of people
What
say the same thing.
wow. What could they remake that I would absolutely love to be in? My
Or even a
goodness.
new movie.
I'm trying to think what I've seen recently. I I would love to be in something where I was an MI5 agent and not James Bond because I like James Bond as James Bond.
Okay.
However, I would love to, I would happily work alongside James Bond
Okay.
doing something. I don't think I'd want to be Moneypenny though.
Okay.
I feel like I'd like to be on the ground.
Okay. Are you on the ground and actually acting or doing action scenes?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. You know,
That he,
I'm British. It's James Bond.
yeah, James Bond. All right, that's cool. Now, do you like doing action more than you do, I guess, per se horror?
um, do you know what? There's actually a good amount of action in horror movies.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Final Destination for me wasn't particularly action packed, but I had done a horror movie a couple months ago, which was a lot of it. It was one of those out in the cabin in the woods horror slasher movies.
Hmm.
There was a lot of action, a lot of running
Rather
in the
running, yeah.
night, um, screaming. Um, I hadn't done many horrors before Final Destination, or not done any really slasher kind of gory horrors. So I'm kind of in that. I'm on that train of thought now. I kind of like the horror thriller elements at the moment. I think they're kind of fun.
Okay. So not like a complete horror, but you like the thriller horror.
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right, that's cool. That's cool. So where can people find you? This the show you love, support, and where can people find you on social media?
So Instagram is natasha.burnett. TikTok is Natasha Burnett. Um, and X is Natasha Burnett as well. I don't use X much these days.
I don't think anybody does.
No, I was just thinking about that. So should I
It's
say it?
more TikTok and Instagram. I think
I
Instagram
think
really just kind of fell off there for a little bit. Now it's picking
yeah.
back up. Yeah,
Yes, it's coming and going.
yeah. It's because when Meta kind of took over that, it was kind of like okay, everybody's going to fall off of it, but now it's picking back up. X is
Yeah,
around still, but not since the Twitter phase went away. Everybody,
yeah. People aren't really on the X thing
yeah, it's
the same
one
way.
day I seen I had Twitter on my phone and I seen X show up on my phone one day. I was like, "What is this?" So I clicked on it and it was Twitter, and I was like, "Oh, when did they change names? I didn't even know they changed names." It was like that often that I got onto it. So
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's like,
yeah,
where's my blue icon gone? What? Where's the blue icon? What's his?
yeah. Where's the little birdie, the and all that? Well, thank you, Natasha, for showing love and support for our show. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Of course, thank you. Thank you so much for having me and letting me chat about Final Destination.
Yeah, no problem.